Well, friends, they got me. So I used to get the Archer and Olive sub box. This is a quarterly subscription box, so that means it comes out every 3 months. And so I think I was sub for about a year. And I ended up canceling my subscription just because I had a ton of journaling stuff and I didn't feel that I was really benefiting from getting the boxes anymore. But since then, I have majorly cut back on the amount that I have been spending on journaling supplies, and I really haven't bought journaling supplies in a long time. So I saw some sneak peeks for the September quarterly box, and I decided I was going to jump back into the Archer and Olive subscription. So here is the box, and we will open her up and get right into it. All right, so we've got a ton of goodies in here. And this little card has some spoilers on it, so I'm not going to turn this over yet. We can take a final look at that at the end. But it looks like we've got some stickers right on top, so let's take a look. Oh, nice. Okay, so it looks like we've got alphabet stickers and they're sticking together a little bit for me, but we've got full pages of vowels and it looks like half pages of consonants. And I love that they chose to go with individual sheets for each of the letters because I feel like normally when I get alphabet stickers in a box, I do tend to run out pretty quickly. And if you can see how these are kiss cut, it's not perfectly lined up to the letters. So it will give it kind of that ripped paper feel, which I also really like. I'm so excited to have these because I feel like I'm constantly doing celestial themes, so these will fit in perfectly in my journal. All right, let's see what we've got next. Looks like we've got a paper pad. I think this might have been one of the items that I saw a sneak peek for, which really sold me on this box. So we've got two paper pads in here, and these are just full of journal paper, which I feel is always one of the things that I struggle with the most when I'm wanting to decorate my journal. I find myself sourcing a lot of pictures online and then printing them on sticker paper so I can stick them in. So I really like that they've given us two books here. And I do believe that these repeat. So I'm not sure how many pages it is before they start repeating, but you've got a pretty good chunk. And then they probably repeat at least 2 or 3 more times based on how much is left in there. So that's kind of our sunshine book. And then we've got a darker book, which probably has some night themed photos. Yeah, I really like these. I know I don't consider myself a junk journaler, but I do like to elevate my spreads by adding some paper in like this under my designs. So I'm really, really excited to have these. And I honestly have no idea what's in here. Like I mentioned, I only saw a couple of the items, but I wasn't expecting this kind of box shape. So really interested to get to that. This looks like we're going to have some washi tape, which I do love the quality of Archer and Olive's washi tape. Sometimes it's not the stickiest, but I do find that it tears really easily and I really like their designs. Ooh, and I already have some Celestial washi tape from Archer and Olive, and I think these are going to go really nicely with the ones that I already have. You've actually seen some of those Celestial washi tapes from Archer and Olive already this year in my bullet journal, so I'm excited to have these to pair with those. And we've got some calligraphs, which I personally really like their calligraphs. Already, I am loving this color story. Again, seems like we're sticking with that daytime into nighttime, which I really love. And I do love that they give you the sticker labels now because I have some back when they weren't giving you those, and it is impossible to tell what's what. But we've got, starting on the right side here, Sunset Glow, Solar Flare, Purple Eclipse, Astral Blue, and Stellar Blue. And I might do some swatches of these and pull out a couple pieces of the washi tape at the end of the video, but we'll just take a look through them first. You're getting a lot of reflection in the plastic packaging here, but I think that this is going to be the other item that I kind of saw spoiled. So let me get that open. I really kind of wish they didn't use all this extra plastic because I mean, this box comes inside of another box when you get it shipped, and this is plastic wrapped. So I feel like that's a little bit unnecessary, a little bit of unnecessary waste. But I'm really excited about this item. All right, so let's flip this out. Okay, so as you're seeing, we do have two different covers on this one, and that's because it is a journal on each side of this, which I personally think is so fun. I could envision using this for a reading journal or even for an everyday bullet journal where you do 1 month on the white side and then you switch over to the black paper for the second month. That way you're switching back and forth and giving yourself the opportunity to try some new things. But I honestly really, really love this design and I'm loving more black paper journals. I actually just got some metallic markers, which I'll show you as well. They're not from Archer and Olive, but I specifically got them for writing on black journal pages because I might go with a black journal next year, but I haven't decided. But I absolutely love this. I think this is such a cool concept, and I'm excited to see how I'll end up using this. All right, so we've also got some gel pens. So let's take a look at these. We've got a gold and silver. Ooh, those are pretty. Yeah, I absolutely love the designs on these. I know that's not really the selling point. The selling point will be how well the ink works, but those are super, super pretty. And again, we'll swatch these with the calligraphs at the end to see how well they write. All right, let's get into the journal because I want to get this reflective plastic off of here. So these boxes always come with at least one journal in them. Normally they have two, or they'll have one and a couple of minis, things like that. But that's one of the ways I've always considered this box to be worth purchasing because individually, two journals alone would cover the cost of the box. And I think with all the other things you get in the box, it makes it more than worth it if you're trying to get some new journaling supplies and save a little money. And if you're like me and you enjoy the surprise of it all, I really love a subscription box like this and to get a whole cohesive collection. So this really works for me as opposed to spending probably double this amount of money to get this many items by just buying them directly from the website. But enough yapping, let's take a look at this journal. Ooh, okay. I feel like I have another journal that this matches with. Oh, that is so pretty. I've just seen the edges on here. Take a look at this. How pretty. I don't know how well that's reading on camera, but I'm absolutely loving that iridescence with the moon and stars on it. That is so stunning. And I believe this one should just be a regular dot grid. Yep. So just regular white paper dot grid. But man, that is so, so pretty. I am so obsessed with that. And like I said, I love a celestial theme. So don't be surprised if you see this journal in particular make a resurgence sometime next year as one of my journals for my 2026 lineup because that is so, so beautiful. I am going to have to stop staring at that because that is lovely. All right, and here is our last item, which I really have no clue about. It's kind of mug shaped, so I wonder, I don't think I've ever gotten a mug or anything like that in one of these boxes, but first time for everything. I've gotten some other stuff like rulers and things. Yeah, this definitely looks like a mug. Let's see. Oh, it says it's a pen holder. Well, I should have just read the box. Look at this, you guys, to go right along with that journal we just opened up. That is so pretty. I wonder how they did this. It kind of feels like they might be stickers that are inlaid in here. So I can't really speak to the quality of it or anything, but I really like this. And I honestly don't really have a pencil holder here at home or in my office. So I do think this is going to come in handy. And I really love that it matches. So let me get everything put back together and I'll just show you a quick scroll over of all the items we got in the box. And then we'll do some testing. All right, so here is everything that we got in the box, and honestly, I am just so excited. I love the theme for this collection, and I really like the color story. So I love that they gave us just a regular notebook to use that's dot grid. They also gave us this specialty one with both sides, which I'm kind of obsessed with using different papers and mediums right now. So again, I'm just so excited to see how I'll end up using this. We've got our two paper books for decoration, as well as our set of calligraphs, two gel pens, washi tape, our alphanumeric stickers, and our pin holder. So overall, I am really, really happy with this box, and being back in this subscription makes me so excited to see where we're gonna go from here and what the next box will be. So the next box won't come out until December, but I will definitely film another unboxing for you all because I just love these products. And of course, if I for some reason got one that I wasn't as excited about, I would love to share that unboxing experience with you too. So it'll really be a surprise for the both of us when that gets here. But as promised, I'm going to grab some other notebook and we can swatch all of our pens, calligraphs, and washi tapes that we got. And I'll also show you the other metallic markers that I recently picked up because I haven't opened them and I also need to swatch those. So I'm actually going to pop these right into our pen holder. I mean, I've got to test it out, right? All right, let me get this cleared up and we'll test these out. All right, so these are going to be the journals that we test everything in. So this is my regular everyday bullet journal, which I am coming very close to the end of. Actually, just flip you back. So my next September spread, I'm actually in the middle of setting up my weekly, which it just needs some decoration now. It's pretty much done with the actual working parts, but I will need one more spread after this one, and then probably one more for those last 3 days in a review. So honestly, this works perfectly for me to just pop over to the last page. And we'll just use this space to try out the calligraphs. So we'll start with that, and then we'll try out all of our metallic friends in this journal, which is a black page bullet journal from Notebook Therapy. And this was one that was pretty high on my list of contenders for next year as well. And I actually think this pairs really nicely with the theme for this Archer and Olive sub box. So it felt pretty fitting to use this one. But let's start with the calligraphs. So we're going to start with what I believe is Sunset Glow. We're going to use the broadside just to do a line. Oh yeah, that's got some really nice color payoff. And then of course we have the smaller side, which I don't find myself using this smaller side often, but it is nice when you're trying to do smaller lettering. I don't do a ton of calligraphy because it's a skill that I honestly need to practice a little bit more, but I definitely think these work really well to do that. And honestly, I primarily use these, and then I use my Tombos for lining in my journals. So obviously I am a fan of these. So the next one we're going to use is Solar Flare. That looks really nice. I like that nice, deep, rich orange. And again, just gonna write the name with the pen so you can see how that smaller tip side operates. And then I'm really excited to see how Purple Eclipse looks because I find myself using a lot of purples and blues in my journal. I really like how kind of dusty that looks almost. And that is Purple Eclipse. So let's write that out. Nice. And next we've got Astral Blue, which looks to be almost like a periwinkle color, if you ask me. Okay, definitely doesn't ink periwinkle, just looks periwinkle on that label. So definitely, again, kind of that like dustier blue, which I really, really like. Nice. And then we've just got stellar blue left. Oh, that's pretty. This would be hard to use as like a second line highlight, but I do think this would be really pretty for decoration and for lettering. I really, really like this dark blue. Gosh, I feel so out of practice just doing normal cursive. But there you have it. Those are the 5 Calliograph colors that we got. And then I will do some small swatches of the washi tape. So we do have one larger washi tape. I don't want to use too much of it. So we're probably just going to stop like there. And I do think with the way that the stars are positioned, this could be really pretty at the bottom of a page or at the top of the page as a header. Honestly, I could see myself using this around Christmas time for my spreads because I've got some witchy stickers on the way that might match well with that. And then this one really reminds me of another tape that I've recently used. I might have to look back because I don't know if I used it in this journal recently or not. And these are tearing super, super easily, by the way. I feel like this one has some nice like color gradient to the roll and a little bit of a shift from top to bottom, which looks really pretty. Like you see how it kind of fades from blue into orange and it gets even a little more orangey right where I stopped. And then we've just got a nice plain gold, which I'm honestly not mad at this. I think that this will do really well in some spreads for me because I think this is a super versatile washi tape. And I think even when I'm doing like spreads that are based on like a fantasy theme or maybe adventure or pirates, this would go really, really well in any one of those themes. So overall, I am really happy with all 4 of these. I think they're super nice additions to my washi tape collection, and I can definitely see myself using them. So there's that. Let's see how our 2 pins look on white paper, and then we'll get to testing some stuff on the black paper. Okay, and you know what? It's pretty immediately writing. I was kind of expecting it not to. I was expecting to have a hard time getting it to start, so that is really nice for an ink pen. And I could definitely see using this kind of like I am now, just to do some little designs around as decoration. And these are by no means perfect, but you get my point. I think that would be a really nice accent. It's not quite as glittery or reflective as I kind of would have thought. Like it's not super punchy. Okay, I do think it's reading a little more yellow than gold, but it looks okay. Could definitely do some like star ratings with this and color them in. Thinking about like my reading journal. They seem nice. I mean, they're writing really smoothly, but I really think the true test will be seeing how well they show up on black paper and if they kind of leach into the paper or if they'll still be visible. So let's try that out in the black journal that I have. All right, so we're back to our notebook therapy journal. And again, I'm just going to do this in the back, which, yes, this is an unused journal, but I would have to be doing a swatch page anyways if I was going to use this journal, because obviously I don't want to start inking on something not knowing if it's going to work. So we will just go ahead and use this to title the page. Okay, this is writing really nicely. I think it's looking a lot more punchy on the black paper. It's definitely standing out a lot more, and I'm getting a lot more of that reflectiveness. So maybe all we needed was a little more contrast to make that stand out. And then we'll do our gold pen. I don't feel like the gold is writing as smoothly as that, but might just be me. Yeah, I think these both would look super nice in here. And honestly, one of the things that I struggle with anytime I use black paper is making sure I have a pen that works really well to actually fill in the spread. And now I kind of wish that Archer and Olive would release some more of these because I think that this is going to be really nice for writing on black paper. I mean, even just this looks so cute. Yeah, I could definitely use this in my black paper journal. So this would make using this a lot easier. And then I also bought these, which your girl is just hoping she didn't get scammed. Okay. These were advertised to me. The ratings look good, but honestly, you don't know till you know. So these might have to get returned after I swatch them. Again, these didn't come from Archer and Olive. This was just something that I purchased separately, but it's supposed to be 30 metallic pins. And I wish they were in some kind of tray or something in here. I might have to dump these in my pen holder, honestly. But as you can see, hopefully, there's a pretty wide array of colors here. And I'm really curious to see how these show up on this paper, especially some of the darker colors. So let's try out. We've got a really dark purple in here. I want to see how this does. So we have a fine tip and a brush tip. So let's try the brush tip. Definitely looks like it's got some metallic in it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is definitely coming out like it is a paint pen, which I don't think it says specifically. Yeah, it doesn't say specifically the type of ink that's in here. So I'll be curious to see how long it takes to dry, but it's definitely not drying super dark purple. And then this is supposed to be the fine tip, which is really just more of like a blunt, normal marker tip. This is giving like traditional paint marker. It definitely looks like the acrylographs that Archer and Olive has, but I appreciate that I'm not having to shake it and move that paint around. Let's try another dark color and see if there's any differentiation between the two. Okay, this definitely has a blue cast, but I kind of feel like what's happening here is that there's a lot of white or silver metallic, and then they've just put a little bit of added color. So I think that's why it's kind of reading the way that it is. And I think the writing reads a little more the true color, where the lines are just reading a little bit silver. So I continued to swatch these and I went through several different colors. I did the traditional metallic, so you're seeing me try out the silver, but they also have a bronze and a gold and one that kind of looks like a rose gold color. But overall, my thoughts were kind of the same from start to finish. A lot of them just seemed like they were mixed with a silver metallic or a white, and most of them did not match with the color of the marker cap. Like they had a pretty wide disparity between the color I thought they were going to be and what actually came out of the pen. And I did see that some of them were a little more streaky than others. They weren't all super opaque. So, especially the white marker, which really surprised me, was very see through. So, I just continued to swatch these and try them out. But overall, my feelings were the same. So, I didn't feel like you needed to hear me yap about all of them that I tested. So this is a 30 marker set. So like I said, I'm not swatching every single one, but I can't necessarily say yet if I would recommend this. I think if you are wanting to work in a black paper journal, this would be really helpful, at least for design, but I'm honestly not sure what the metallic markers are using as their ingredient. So honestly, these could be toxic. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a little like scent off of them. It's almost a little bit like a Sharpie. So I'm not sure what to make of that, but I do want to try to write on here and see if it lifts or if I can write over it easily. So, for example, I might use this for October. So let's just do a header for October. Okay, not sure that my pen likes it a ton. Yeah, my pen is normally not that patchy. That almost looks like, yeah, it will just wipe off, which is not going to wipe off 100%, but it's definitely having issues drying on top of there. Definitely think these would be more for just decorations or lettering. I mean, I could definitely see doing some like bubble letters with these. Maybe we'll try that. Again, I'm just going to use October because that's the next setup that I'm kind of thinking of. And of course, I'm going to have a hard time with those finer details because of how thick this pen tip is. I think maybe the opposite would have worked a little more aesthetically here. Let me see if I can just give you an example of what I mean. I'll just write hello. Oh, I felt a little sticky there. Might have been one that I double layered. I am curious over time to see how these do with more use because you can see there's like a lot of silver on the pen tip. So I'm not sure how long it's going to keep one color or the other. If it will run out of the silver ink a little faster and then I'll have issues with that or what have you. So now I do think this pen set was maybe like $15. So I think they might work well enough that it's not worth returning them to me because I don't have anything comparable in my set. But if I had something nicer, I wouldn't be keeping these. So what I really need is for Archer and Olive to come out with some metallic calligraphs. I do have acrylographs, but I don't use them frequently because they are literally like paint markers, so they do take a little more time to dry. But I might play with them a little bit more, especially if I do a black paper journal. But let's try this. Okay, yeah, this is giving a little bit more what I wanted from that other outline. Again, no real fine lining here. It's not going to be possible unless I'm writing really big, which I'm not. But I think that works pretty well. And there's no like bleed between them. I think you can see that with the October one. I will say now that I outline that, that inner color definitely just looks white. It doesn't look like this seafoam at all. The writing kind of matches it, but that first swatch is definitely a little more green than that. So I probably wouldn't be using that pen much, but even here, I feel like the dark blue isn't showing up super well. So I think for more of the metallic colors, it'll work as an accent, like your traditional metallics. But I think with like actual colors, they're probably not going to hold up super well over time. But if I do use a black paper journal next year, then you'll just have to see how they do because I think I'm going to keep these, but jury's still out on whether it was a good purchase or not. So that is going to wrap up our video for today. And thanks for humoring me and letting me swatch some extra metallic pens that I recently hauled alongside showing you everything that we got in the Archer and Olive September quarterly box. And again, I'll just flip back to our swatches back here. So super, super happy with everything that I got from Archer and Olive. I don't want our little metallic journey there to overshadow that, but I am really excited to use all of these items. You might start seeing these colors show up, especially these blues and purple, because I think that those are going to go really well with some of my winter themes. So don't be surprised if you see them soon. But anyways, thank you so, so much for hanging out for this video and for unboxing the Archer and Olive September quarterly subscription box with me. I am so excited to be back as a member of the subscription, and I can't wait to show you the December box when it arrives. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.